Bellator 260, Lima versus Amosov is Friday, June 11th on Showtime. And Demarques Jackson of Sanford MMA is on the main card. We're here at Sanford MMA in South Florida, Deerfield Beach. Thank you so much, Demarques, for doing this. Hey, you're 11-5, battling Mark Lemminger, who is 11-3, in a featured welterweight bout on Showtime. What are your thoughts of being a part of Bellator 260 on Showtime?
Ah, man. Hey, it's honestly, I would say it's kind of like a dream come true, you know, like to be telling, if I can go back and tell 18-year-old Demarques that I would be on Showtime, you know, opening the main card, back from a pandemic, after COVID, back from the pandemic, I'll be the first fight, open up the main card on Showtime. I wouldn't believe myself. So I'm super excited. I'm super excited, ready to put on the show for the fans and all, and represent Sanford MMA.
How excited do you get for something like that when you know, obviously just being a part of the card in general, but then when you know that you're going to be part of the main card and you're going to be on Showtime and just all that goes with the fighting. But when you're first starting out, it's about the wins and losses still, and it was then. But now all this other factors.
It's always about the wins and losses. But like, I think we, as fighters, we truly got to take for granted what it was to fight without the fans, you know, during the pandemic. People that took fights. It's a different experience to actually have the fans there, fight in front of the fans. So I'm really looking forward to having the fans back and going out there and putting on the show and banging it out for them.
And what is it like when you're out there fighting and trying to get some fighters, they just shut everything out. Other fighters take the energy of the crowd. For you, what is that part like, and how are you dealing with that?
I take my energy from the crowd during the walkout. So during the walkout, I like to have a really good, nice walkout, and I feel like I feed off the crowd from the walkout. And then once the fight go, I truly try to zone everything out but my coaches. Only voices that I like to hear is the guys that's in my corner, that's cornering me. And I try to zone everybody else out, and I just listen to my coaches. Try my best to listen to my coaches. Don't go like that all the time.
And Sanford MMA, great coaches here, great training facility.
Oh, yes.
What do you know about your opponent, Mark Lemminger?
I mean, I watched him fight. He likes to come forward. He likes to throw down. You know, I mean, what can you ask for? The fight to open up a main card, that was kind of a stylistically matchup. Me and him is guaranteed to put on. You know, it's guaranteed fireworks. So I like the matchup. I'm actually, you know, I like the way he fights. If I was from the outside looking in, watching him fight, I like the way he fights. So it's an exciting matchup.
With the fans and having the fans in attendance, what was it like during that time? Because obviously safety, health, the pandemic, couldn't have fans in attendance, had to hold off on some shows. What was that period like, having no fans in there, whether you're involved in the fight or watching the fight and seeing that there are no fans there?
So I did both. So I cornered guys that had, you know, I was in the corner of guys when we fought with no fans. So as far as cornering go, as a corner, you couldn't ask for a better situation to, you know, to not have, you know, 5,000 to 10,000, you know, sometimes 20,000 people screaming, or, you know, while you're trying to tell your fighter and give your fighter the instruction and tell them what to do. So as a corner and as a coach, like doing it, it's the best. But as a fighter, it for me, once the bell rang, it's still go time, but it kind of doles out some of the energy. Like, you can feel the energy from the fans when you're in the ring. You can feel the energy. You can, when you hear them when they scream, you can feel every part of that. So when it's different when they're there.
And what's it like having the entrance music too, and coming out with that? And do you pick your own entrance music?
Yeah, I pick my own entrance music. I go for a lot of bike rides when I have fights to help me with my weight. So my weight, so I just put on any genre and I just let it ride. And sometimes I hear a song, and when I hear the song, it clicks in my head, and I'm like, that's the theme song for this, you know, for this fight. And I'll walk out to that song. I mean, my favorite one, I walked out to Johnny Cash, Life's Roadway to Heaven, and that was one of the most loveliest walkouts I ever had before.
That's old school going with Johnny Cash.
I loved it.
Prison Blues, yeah, that's good stuff there. I like Johnny Cash, you know, back in the day. Real quick, I don't want to tangent too much, but did you see the movie, that the life story of Johnny Cash? That was, now I can't remember the name of the actor, but very famous actor portrayed Johnny Cash.
I can't remember that.
Yeah, me too, but very famous actor.
But yeah, I remember watching that movie, yes. It was a really good movie. He lived the life. Yep.
Now, when this big fight coming up, Bellator 260, with a win in this fight, where do you think that gets you?
It probably get me, I would say a win in this fight would definitely, the last guy this guy lost to was actually in the rankings, Jawill Willis, I think that was his name. He lost to him, that guy was actually in the rankings. So I think a win here should get me maybe one fight away from being in having a fight to get in the top 10. You know, if you look at my last fight, I fought another guy, really good, tough guy. He was coming down from 185, you know, and every fight at 185, he finished everybody. He fought at 85, you know, all his wins, you know, so, and I was coming up for 155, so I feel like if I would have won that fight, that could have, you know, this fight here would have put me in the rankings, you know, but I had a setback, and all you can do is just keep going forward, you know. Well,
you mentioned that setback. Was that the fight then, obviously? What did you learn from your last fight versus Graychick?
I learned it's a lot of the fight happened in training, but it's also fight week. And I really learned that there's things that I need to be doing fight week. Since I'm a professional athlete and fighting at this level, I can't treat it like I'm still amateur, you know, or like I'm still fighting regionally. I can't treat it like that. These guys are coming in at their absolute best. And I just have to change some things fight week, I feel like, and then I'll perform better come fight night.
A lot of preparation.
Yeah,
a lot more preparation than when it's compared amateur fight to the professional ranks and all. And unless you go through it, I guess that's the only way you can really live it, learn it.
My career has been trial and error. And like I said, I lose, I win, or I learn. Like, I'm not just going out here taking, every loss I take something from it. Every loss I take something from it.
You mentioned cornering. Who have you cornered?
I've cornered Michael Chandler. Cornered him for when he fought for Ben Henderson when he won the belt back against Brett Premise. Cornered him just a couple weeks ago. He fought for the UFC belt. I cornered Nick Lentz. Cornered Gilbert Burns in a couple grappling matches. And I have some students from Hard Knocks 365, the H kickboxing team, and I cornered a lot of the students from the kickboxing team. Leighton Vassell, he's another one I cornered. My roommate, cornered him.
What's it like having him as a roommate?
It's awesome. It's awesome having him as a roommate, and it's like I said, it's awesome during fight week because like we know each other, so the whole fight week vibe is kind of like it's all just chill vibe. It's nothing strenuous. It's a chill vibe, and we just go fight night.
Talk a little bit about Hard Knocks 365. I'm glad you mentioned Hard Knocks 365 in Fort Lauderdale, not far from Sanford MMA in Deerfield Beach. And I know before Sanford MMA and this great complex, this everything you could do here. It's a one-stop shop here, basically, at Sanford MMA in Deerfield Beach, South Florida. Hard Knocks 365, not far in Fort Lauderdale. That's where all the fighters were originally. As everything went on as the elevation and just the building and all. What's going on in Hard Knocks 365 now? And you said you're coaching over there.
Oh yeah, so at Hard Knocks 365, when it first originated, I was the first. Me and another guy was the first. Kickboxing instructor over there at that gym. And I worked there a lot until recently, until I got in Bellator for my last fight. I had to take some time off just to focus no more on fighting. But like we have an amateur kickboxing program, MMA program over there.
Now, how important is it? And you talked about the first fight for Bellator. Now this is going to be your second fight for Bellator. Third fight for Bellator. Okay, so where do you rank this fight, and just in the elevation and just what you're trying to do to get your name out there, your fighting, your brand, everything out there for Bellator?
This fight here, it means a lot because like I'm trying to get the first win, as actually a contracted Bellator fighter. The first time I fought for them and I got a win, I wasn't actually under contract with them. My last fight, I was under contract with them and I didn't get W. So I'm trying to, make the first step in the right direction. Rights and wrongs of the last fight.
What does LFA mean to you?
It's a great organization. I love LFA. LFA was a rebirth. I feel like that was where I rebirthed in my career. I started to realize, I felt like a couple times when I had a great fight week and great weight cut camp, I kind of seen my potential, like how good I could be, in LFA.
What was happening before that?
Before that, it was I felt I wasn't confident, you know. That's what I feel like.
Were you learning?
I was learning a lot, and honestly, it was when I first moved down here to, you know, this gym. It took some time, you know, to start winning rounds. When you if you come down here, if you're getting beat up every day long, that plays a psychic, you know, on your mind when you go into fights, because you're giving your opponents a lot more respect than they honestly deserve, because you're used to going with the best guys in the world. That's what you're used to going with, and sometimes you're waiting on them to do stuff, or you're afraid to try stuff, because guys that you go with in the gym, when you try that, they always counter you, so you're afraid to do stuff. And I felt like it took a while for me to realize, you know, the level of guys that I train with, and realize that these guys are not on that level, you know. So that's what I feel like, that's what I've grown the most at.
That's very interesting too, because yeah, at this facility, you go here, you come here to train, whatever day you come here to train, there's top level fighters, men and women. It's just incredible, the talent, the coaching as well that's here, and that's amazing. And that's an interesting take on it, where, oh man, I'm not able to do this here. But then when you go in the fight, you're like, standoffish a little bit and all, but now it's a different attitude, a different persona. How long have you been with?
So I came down here like March 2016, and that was, of course, we was still Black Zillions. Yeah, I came down here literally at the end of Black Zillions. So we was there March, Black Zillions was over, I think, November. So I was here towards the end, up in Boca, actually.
In Boca, and then Combat Club
then
after that?
Combat Club, and then Hard Knocks, and then Sanford. So I've been, since the split happened, I left with Henri and Greg. When they started to do their own thing, I knew their goal was, you can tell right away, the goal was not about money or anything. The goal was to produce world champions. And I wanted to be a world champion. So I still do. So that's why I went with them.
What do you think of South Florida?
South Florida I came from Atlanta. So this is literally like, it's kind of like the opposite. People here, they're not as nice. They don't have the southern, it's way, you know, more south, but they don't have the southern hospitality as they did in Georgia. I'll tell you that. But it's a nice place, and I really like how everyone down here are on their grind, you know, and everyone's down here working hard towards the goal, or you can see everyone's hustling. They're trying to make a better life for themselves.
Well, you're also coaching. So what do you get to do if you're not coaching, or just having free time, relax? Are you at the beach, or just hanging out?
I watch a lot of, sometimes I watch a lot of anime. I watch some anime, Naruto. You see sometimes I come out there dressed up in Naruto stuff. So I watch some anime when I'm not doing anything, or I like to take bike rides, like maybe 2-3 hour bike rides. Just go, you know, view the scenery in South Florida. And
this is a great area too, right? Yep. There's so many bike trails and paths, you know, and just nature areas to do that. And anime, because of COVID, it didn't happen. But Florida SuperCon down in Miami is a huge event every summer that they had and all. And that's like a 4-day event. And they get a great crowd, all Comic-Con, just the anime and just everything else that goes along with it. It's a great event. Hopefully it's going to be back. I don't know if it's going to be back this summer, but hopefully then next summer that'll be back, Florida SuperCon. But you mentioned anime, and that's really cool too. What does Titanfc mean to you?
Titanfc, that was me finally. They was when I came up and on the regional promotion in Georgia. Like for me, that was like a lot of big name fighters. I've seen a lot of big name fighters come through Titanfc. So for me, that was like, man, if I go out here, if I make an expression, I can get signed. You know, I can probably get signed to, you know, some of the bigger promotions. You know, if I go out there and make a good expression. So that's when I actually got my first loss. That right there, it gave me. It means a lot to me, because I said I lost 2 fights in Titanfc, and I felt like every fight though I was growing. Like the fight I lost, and I come back, I went 2 in a row, and then I grappled. Pretty much I grappled. I probably won the fight but lost the competition. You know, if you look at it as a fight, I did the damage, I tried to finish, I won the fight. But you look at it as control time and no damage, I might have lost the competition. So I have a couple fights on my record like that. But Titans for me, it was growth. It was like me growing.
You know, it's interesting with the wins and the losses too, because you can get so much from the loss compared to a win sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you go out there, you might do this, do that, boom, it's over, whatever. There you go, you got the win, great.
Got the win.
But you fight better in another fight, but lose the fight.
And you fight better and lose the fight. And it's good to do that because you can go back and watch the loss and you can see, like, where did I go wrong at? And not only you can see where you went wrong at in the fight, you can also go back and even further and look at where did I go wrong at leading up to the fight. So that's what, you don't look at that when you win. When you win the fight and it's out of your mind. You don't even think about the training camp, nothing. But when you lose, you're like, all right, I did this in the fight, and then leading up, oh, I didn't train this enough, I didn't train this enough. So it gives you a lot of time to reflect back.
Like you said, fight week in your last fight.
In the fight week, my last fight.
Time.
Like, if I would have won that fight, like I seen even Sherdog, even they had me winning it. I seen Sherdog, and a lot of people, friends, are telling me, oh, I think you won that. But for me personally, if I ever get that title in the fight, there's no way I think I win. Like for me, I lost that just because I see my fights as let's say me and this guy in a dark alley, and there's no referee around to save us. Who's gonna walk out of there? That's how I see it when I fight. And that day, I was so tired, I wasn't walking out of there on my own. So for me, that wasn't a win. So.
What did it mean to you and your family to get signed to Bellator?
It mean a lot because, and I don't talk about this much, but like when I first, like this is 2009, when I first was telling everyone that I wanted to fight, no one believed me. I didn't play any sports growing up, football, basketball, baseball, never played any sports cross country, never did any sports. And then when I was 19, I just walked in the gym, did jiu-jitsu, and I was like, hey, I want to fight. And so when I first told that to my family, it was kind of like something that, he'll grow out of, because I never showed any interest at all. And for me, I think I was the only person that truly knew that, like, oh, this is what I want to do.
You surprised a lot of family and friends when that happened in your journey.
It was just like a turn. And
what's it like now? And now being able to see you on Showtime, even with family and friends watching you, how cool is that?
It's so cool. It's a long journey. It's literally been pretty much been a 10-year journey, and it just goes to show everyone that if you want to do something, because there's been a lot of ups and downs. Like, look at my record. My record's not the prettiest, it's 11-5. Like, when I first started, I was thinking, if I lose 5 fights, I'm not even gonna still be fighting, you know? Like, I started off on a 5-fight win streak, 5-0. So like, I was, in my mind, if I ever lose 5 fights, I'll be gonna retire, I'll be somewhere else. But just being down here to continue to see that I truly feel like I keep getting better and I keep learning stuff. Like, honestly, I'm just so happy to see like what I'm gonna grow into in Bellator,
And that's interesting as well, because you see fighters 26-11.
Yep.
32-14.
Yep.
Good fighters.
Good fighters.
It's more about how you are as a fighter and how you grow.
Yep.
More so even than the win-loss record. Obviously, you have to have a good win-loss record to keep elevating, but still, it is about the growth and the learning and all, and that's something you learned too as you went through the process.
Yeah, and a lot of that learning is also going to be personal growth, like, because a lot of people only see like this journey as a fighter, but we still got to live after fighting. So like, all of this growth that we learned doing fighting, all of this wins and losses that we're going through, like when we get done with this, when we apply that to something else, if we would apply the same mindset we applied to fighting, coming here training 5 days a week, 2 and 3 times a day, if we apply that to something else, we'll succeed in that aspect too. So that's what I look at it as.
And you're also coaching.
Yep, and also coaching.
Which is cool, and involved in that process. And you mentioned it, you didn't play sports growing up, so you weren't really into that, and then all of a sudden 19 years old. But what made you decide at 19 to even go to that gym?
Oh, I was working in Atlanta downtown, and it was one day I just Googled, it was a gym maybe out X3 Sports, North Highland and Midtown, and it was literally probably like 10 minutes from where I was working at. One day after I went off work, I just remember going in there, and some guys doing no-gi jiu-jitsu, and not very intimidating looking guys, not very intimidating looking guys. And I come in.
You thought maybe they're going to be some big monster guys.
Monster guys. I come in and I do a class and I just get penciled up in all sorts of ways and submission tapped out, and like I was like, you tell me guys walking around the street that can just grab me up and do me like this? That was my first reaction. I was like, I'm terrified. I gotta learn this stuff, you know? Like, I gotta learn this. I gotta learn how to defend myself. Like, guys that I wouldn't even think that could do me like this, but choke me out, making me tapping out, grab my arm, leg, make me scream out in pain. Like, I have to learn this stuff. So initially, that's what it came out as. Like, I gotta learn this stuff.
And you mentioned anime, which I think is so interesting.
Uh-huh.
Are you a fan of going to Comic-Cons and things like that?
I actually never been to a Comic-Con, but now I think since I'm starting to walk out with anime stuff, next time a Comic-Con come around me, I'm definitely gonna go to a Comic-Con.
Do you know how you were introduced to anime?
I used to just watch it growing up. Yeah, just started out growing up. I just remember, I think I got really passionate about anime because it was growing up, like, we only had one TV in the house, you know, 1999 around there, we only had one TV in the house. And I can always remember around that time, Dragon Ball Z used to come on. So when it used to come on, I pretty much had to try to fight my older brother for it. And he's 5 years older than me, so like, it didn't go well for me, you know? So that's why it was so passionate to me with anime, because like, I literally had to fight to watch anime. Like, they want to watch, you know, music videos. I had to fight to watch anime, so that's why it's so passionate to me.
Anime got you to fighting.
Yeah.
Anime started your fighting, actually.
Yeah, it literally started my fighting. It literally trained me to fight without even knowing it. So.
I hope I have this right. What was Lithonia High School like? Is I wrong on that, or am I right on that?
Townsend High School.
Where was it?
Townsend High School.
Okay. All right. In Lithonia?
No, it was near Augusta.
In Augusta,
County.
Good.
Yeah,
So what was the name of the high school again?
Townsend High School.
What was that like?
Townsend High School, it was different. I kind of had a close knit of people that I kind of talked with. And I kind of, honestly, I don't really remember too much of high school. I don't know where that's from. Hope it's not from fighting, but I just had a close group of friends that I kind of talked to, and I still talk to some of them to this day. And I kind of kept to myself, you know.
Well, you didn't play sports.
Yeah, I
didn't
play
play sports.
Yeah.
I know. So, did you play sports in high school? But no, because I know you didn't play sports.
So I kept to myself, and I had a lot of cousins, so I probably kept to myself, and I hung out with a lot of my cousins and family members that.
And back at that time, and when you're getting done with high school, did you have any idea like what you were going to do, or it was just go to me work and whatever?
No idea. Yeah, I was like, school's over, what's next?
Right.
No idea. I had no desire to go to college. Like, college to me seemed like more school, and I did not like school. So for me, I was lost pretty much.
But isn't it something that you're a teacher now?
Yep.
In a sense.
Yep, in a sense,
You found something that you love and then something that you love to give back as well.
Yep.
And when did you know that the coaching or teaching part was going to be part of your DNA?
It usually just came down to me when I was training. When I got good enough, I would like to help my training partners out, or newer guys that come in that want to learn no-gi. Like, I would help them out. And some of my coaches seen that and first started like, hey, you should run a kickboxing class. I run a kickboxing class. Everyone liked me, and it just started progressing from there.
Do you have music during the kickboxing class?
Yeah, music. Yeah, some good music during the kickboxing class. I mix it up. I go through all the genres, so I get some for everyone, you know.
That's great. All right, and then we'll wrap it up with the fight, Bellator 260. So, who trained you for this one? Who did you spar with? Who did you work with?
I mean, we always have a stable, the best coaches in the world here. We got Henri Hooft, we got Greg Jones, we got Kenny Barzini, strength and conditioning, Dr. Corey Peacock, we got Nick Lentz, who's also former UFC fighter, 20 plus fights in the UFC. He's also helping as a coach now, dropping knowledge on us all the time. We have Sean Soriano striking, Coach Strout here also helping us with the striking, Wagner Rocha, if you know who that is. So we have literally some of the best trainers in the world.
It's a who's who.
Who's who. That's just training us. And then training partners, as you can say, Sean Soriano, we get to train with him. Gilbert Burns out there on the match, Sato, Angelusa. I have so many guys that, it's the name, I can look at the board right there, Claudia, Jason Jackson, who's fighting on the same card with me.
Yes, he is. Let's talk to him today, so that's good too. He is fighting the same card.
Guys like that, that when you get to train and spar with guys like that, when you go out and to fight these guys, you're ready for whatever. So that's my mindset going into this fight. You know, I'm ready for whatever.
And how did you get the nickname Scrap Iron?
So really, scrap iron. So back when we're at, a lot of people used to make alcohol moonshine. So back where I'm at, they call moonshine scrap iron. I can remember telling the story to my coach, Greg, and he liked
moonshine in the backwoods.
Yep,
They're talking the backwoods, some illegal.
Yep, moonshine.
High grain. That's alcohol.
Grain alcohol. Scrap iron. So I told him that, he liked it, and it stuck with me. And I mean, it stuck with me. Every time you see me, scrap iron, and everyone started calling me that. This was still back at Black Zillion days. And it pretty much stuck with me since then. And I walked out to it. I feel like the first time I walked out to it, I got a knockout. And I was like, okay, this is my nickname. So yeah.
Do you have any social media?
Yes. Marquez _165 is my IG. And I would say 165 because a valid point I should make. They have weight classes 25, 35, 45, 55, 70. Like, huh? What's going on here? I know I'm not the smartest man in the world, but 25, 35, 45, 55, whoa, 70.
What comes next? Yeah, someone's not doing the math right.
Something's not right here. So I just want everyone to know Marquez 165. I'm 165er, so if any 55ers want to come up and meet me at 165, we can bang it out at 165, 170. I'm coming up to your weight class because they don't have one for me.
Yes, you got to check them out, Bellator 260, Friday, June 11th on Showtime. Thank you, Mr. Showtime.
Hey, thank you. Nice.